In this video, I'm going to show you how to remove and replace front strut assemblies on a Nissan Maxima. 21mm socket, we're going to remove the lug nuts on the front tire. Upper sway bar link, the nut is a 18mm socket, and you're going to use a 19mm wrench on the back side to hold it, and there's a cutout for it. Fits perfect. So 18mm socket, and we're going to take that nut off. We're going to remove the ABS wire from the lower part of the strut. There's two brackets that hold the little rubber bushings in. I just take a pry bar or flat screwdriver, push them out like this. Now we're going to remove the flex hose from the bracket. I like to take a pair of pliers, grab the lip of this. It's like a pressurized. Sometimes lucky enough to get it. If not, I'll end up using a hammer with my pry bar. Like that. And now you can see the flex hose can move freely. Come right out of that bracket, set it aside. Make sure the ABS wire is out of the way. And now we can take the two lower mount bolts out. 21mm wrench and socket, and let's back these lower strut bolts right out. Lower bolt. With a dead blow hammer, I'm just going to see if I can tap these out. I like to keep them separate because through the years you'll find sometimes a lower mount bolt is different than the upper, so I always keep them separate. Now let's do the same on the lower, see if we can tap that out. They pretty much look the same, but I'm just going to reverse thread it. That tells me it's the lower. Okay, now we can just break this free, like that. If you want to get a bungee cord, you can take a bungee cord and grab it right by the hook at the top of the knuckle and bring it over here to the bar. Now we're going to remove our top three strut mounts. This happens to be a 13mm socket or wrench. The back one, instead of taking all of this pillar stuff and vent plastic off, I'm going to do by hand. I'm just going to break it free, 13mm. Then I'm going to use my ratchet wrench. The other two are going to hold it completely in place. So I can break this completely out and get it out of the way. Remember, never touch that center nut that holds the spring in place. I'm going to place them right up there. You get new ones with the new strut, but I like to keep them in the same area. 13mm. I'm going to break them free. And now I'm going to put my hand underneath, and I'm going to grab that strut by the spring and hold it. And then take that last one out. And through the fender well. So you always want to take your old strut assembly and line it up with the new one. These top mounts, they do spin, but they can be really hard to turn. But just in case during assembly, if they mounted these just the other way, it's going to be really hard for you to line it up in the car. So if you leave it comes with new 3 bolts for the top. If you leave them in like that, you can always take a long screwdriver, pry bar, and break it in here. See if you can give it a spin to line it up. This one's lined up pretty good. It'd be just this way, just a hair, that you can actually get in there. If you can brace it, you can turn it, see? But mine's lined up pretty good, so I'm going to leave it right there. I'm going to take those top 3 mounting screws out, place them up on the top, so I can get to them easily. So now we're going to take our new strut assembly and we're going to bring it right up through the front. Get that brake line, get it around. Just going to rest it right there. Then I'm going to stand up and start the bolts. And you're going to grab the strut with one hand and lift it up. See if you can guide and start some of those bolts in the mount through the holes. Once you get one started, it's fairly easy after that. You'll see them light up. Okay, I'm gonna get my 13mm socket, snug this one up. Snug right down. Now torque the upper strut mounts to 35 foot-pounds. Now we're going to put the knuckle back into the lower strut. I'm going to take my bungee cord out of the way. I just had that on so that it wouldn't pull the axle boot completely out. So make sure your hoses and everything are where this should be. That should be there. This should be in the back, so it can go on both places in the mount. Do not install them until this is placed in there because you don't want this to pop out and pull those out. Start that nut. And I'm going to put the top one in. Now these struts, factory ones or aftermarket, do not come oblonged out for any new camber adjustment. But the best way to always install and tighten them is to push them all the way in. I'm just going to get my dead blow. See if I can get it to. All right, 21mm wrench and socket, and I'm just going to snug it up, top and bottom, and now I'll get my torque wrench and we'll torque that to spec. Now tighten the lower strut bolts to 140 foot-pounds. So now I'm going to put the flex hose front caliper brake line back through that bracket. Line it up and take that little spring clip, start it like that, and you can just take a pair of pliers or a hammer and tap it right in. I'm going to take the ABS harness and you get two little bushings. They just pop right in like that. Make sure it's not twisted and it's not in the way of anything. Just like that. Put the upper sway bar link through the strut mount, where it's mounted on the strut, and then put the nut on. You're going to hold it with that wrench, snug it right down. Now you can tighten your sway bar link to the strut housing and the stabilizer bar to 78.5 foot-pounds. Now we can mount the tire. I'll lug this on by hand. .21mm socket. Go in a crisscross pattern or star pattern. Just snug them up, and we'll torque them when we lower it to the ground. 21mm socket, 83 foot-pounds in a star pattern. Double check. When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.